This is a nightmare scenario for Donald Trump. Donald Trump, who was sleeping through Pope Francis's funeral, wearing a blue suit and violating the dress code and generally disgusting everybody around him. He woke up on Sunday to see shock poll after shock poll. But if you've been watching the MeidasTouch network, not all that shocking to us. Shock poll number 1. This from ABC Ipsos, or ABC Washington Post Ipsos. Trump's approval rating plummets to its lowest in 80 years for a president at the 100-day mark. According to this poll out early Sunday from ABC News, The Washington Post, and Ipsos, only 39% of respondents said they approve of Donald Trump's performance. This is the worst in polling dating back to basically 1945. Some of the worst polling ever. Americans despise the vile piece of trash that is running the country now named Donald Trump. Another shock poll, this one from CNN. CNN's latest poll finds Donald Trump underwater and sinking across nearly every major issue that he sought to address. This is the headline, front page CNN. Trump's approval at 100 days is lower than any president in 7 decades based on their poll. Only 41% of people approve there. When you go into the crosstabs, you can see just how bad it is across women, across independents, across Hispanics. As Mike Madrid, who tracks the Hispanic support of political parties, explains, the Pew poll that came out last week, by the way, Trump's approval there was 40%. I'm interested to see what the Pew poll says next week, as we're seeing other polls show Donald Trump get even lower than that. But the Pew poll had Trump at 27% approval among Hispanics. CNN has Trump at 28% among Hispanics. This is a complete collapse among what was the fastest group of GOP supporters. Trump is now where he was before the 2018 wipeout. Here they are on CNN also just talking about how historically bad Trump's numbers are. Here, let me play this clip right now.
60% of Americans disapprove of his handling of foreign affairs. Our panel back with us. Harry, 60% disapprove. In a second slide, we have the confidence in Trump to handle foreign affairs. 27% say they have a lot of confidence. Some confidence at 23%. 50% no confidence.
Yeah, I don't think that that's a particularly good rating. Any of those numbers are just horrible. And there is no historical precedent. I think this is just the thing I keep going back to. You compare where Donald Trump is right now on foreign policy, his approval rating. You can go all the way back through the record books. We've been testing foreign policy approval rating at this point of presidency since Carter in 77. It's the lowest on record. You just look on issue after issue on issue, whether it's our poll or other polls when it comes to foreign policy, and Trump is consistently below water. They do not like what he is doing.
What is Donald Trump doing? Well, he just posted the following. When tariffs cut in, many people's income taxes will be substantially reduced, maybe even completely eliminated. Focus will be on people making less than $200,000 a year. Also, a massive numbers of jobs are already being created. Folks, a massive numbers of jobs are already being created with new plants and factories currently being built or planned. It will be a bonanza for America. The External Revenue Service is happening, and he puts that all in caps. We know you are a 2-bit con artist, scam artist, rug puller, Ponzi schemer. We know your type. We know who you are. And this may work on 35% of the country, MAGA mush brains whose minds have just been imploded by state regime media and all of this Russian propaganda and lies. But you're telling us that we're doing better now than ever? You think Americans are that stupid? You think all Americans are MAGA mush? It's going to be a bonanza. We're all going to get so rich. Maybe. The fact that you've been a con artist and a scammer and a fraud and a felon and a sexual abuser in your life, maybe you're showing those qualities now, why you should be locked up in a prison, then leading the United States of America into the freaking ground right now. He just pisses me off. And you know who pisses me off even more? Those around him. You're like, how could anyone piss you off more? The aiders and abettors, the people who know better. You basically have Scott Bessent, the Treasury Secretary, no different than Bernie Madoff. Scott Bessent, Treasury Secretary, so smug, this guy. He's like, hey, well, I think that, shut up, Scott Bessent. Here's Scott Bessent on the morning shows, and here he's like, I think we're in this for the long term. I think consumers are really happy about it. Everyone's really happy what's going on. Here, play this clip.
It's very rare. I think it happened a couple of times in the 70s for the dollars, stocks, and bonds to get hit as hard as they simultaneously did over the last few weeks. If the goal is to get countries to stand with us against China, does it worry you at all that investors seem to be losing confidence in the U.S.?
Well, again, you're saying losing confidence, and I don't think that this is necessarily losing confidence. And anything, I've been in the markets for 35, 40 years, anything that happens over a 2-week, 1-month window can be either statistical noise or market noise. And we're in this for the long term, and the important thing is that we are setting the fundamentals for a strong dollar, a strong economy, strong stock market, and for investors to know that the U.S. government bond market is the safest and soundest in the world.
Okay, thanks.
Dude, that guy just pisses me off. The smugness, him and his billionaire friends. Oh, by the way, you want to know what the billionaire friends of Trump were doing recently? Over the weekend during the White House Correspondents' Dinner at the Willard Hotel, by the way, which was once used by Trump's crew as the staging center for the insurrection, Donald Trump Jr. and White House crypto czar David Sachs held an after party to the White House Correspondents' Dinner on Saturday night to launch a club for the ultra wealthy called the Executive Branch. And it costs you $500,000 to join. They literally are creating an oligarch club using the name Executive Branch with access to the Executive Branch that costs $500,000 to join. I mean, these people are flagrant freaking oligarchical assholes. Excuse my language. I mean, what in the world is going on? Marco Rubio, Secretary of State, he goes on this weekend right before the Canadian election to talk about how Canada should be the 51st state. Here's what Marco Rubio said. Here, play this clip.
So does the U.S. still want to make Canada the 51st state?
I think the president has stated repeatedly he thinks Canada would be better off as a state. And he has said that based on what he was told by the previous prime minister, who said Canada can't survive unless it treats the U.S. unfairly in trade.
All right. Okay.
Hey, Marco, you know what you should be saying about Canada as the Secretary of State, as the chief diplomat for the United States? You should be showing sympathy for the people whose lives were lost in Vancouver at the festival that took place over the weekend. That's what you should be talking about as the Secretary of State. You should know what's going on in Canada, and you should express heartfelt sympathies live on air, not talking about annexing them. Again, what a vile piece of trash Rubio is. Oh, and here's Rubio defending the Trump administration deporting little kids with cancer. And Rubio goes, they sent them with their moms. They're with their moms. What are they worried about? We sent them off with their mothers. Even if their dads are here, who cares? Here, play this clip.
Well, on the headline, that's a misleading headline. Okay, 3 U.S. citizens, ages 4, 7, and 2, were not deported. Their mothers, who are legally in this country, were deported. The children went with their mothers. If those children are U.S. citizens, they can come back into the United States if there's their father or someone here who wants to assume them. But ultimately, who was deported was their mothers who were here illegally. The children just went with their mothers. But it wasn't like, you guys make it sound like ICE agents kicked down the door and grabbed the 2-year-old and threw him on an airplane. That's misleading.
Yeah.
That's just not true.
Marco, we're talking about U.S. citizens here. United States citizens. Oh, then they have on Brooke Rollins, the agriculture secretary on CNN, and Dana Bash is like, can you tell us about those conversations with China? Well, we'd like to know. Here, play this clip.
You said that there are talks with China every day. Who are the talks with and at what level? Because the Chinese are saying that's not true.
Well, according to our team in Washington, the conversations are ongoing regarding multiples of trade, but here multiples of the trade goods that are coming out and going in. But the bottom line with China is this: they need us more than we need them. They need our money. They need our markets. They need our consumers and all of the above. So the president has been, I believe, exactly correct. I mean, he is the ultimate deal maker. You know, it's a time where we've got to hold China accountable. And in agriculture, year upon year, decade upon decade, our goods have been taken advantage of. The trade disparity, the non-trade tariffs on top of the tariff numbers are insane, whether it's Argentina or China or Brazil or the UK. I could go.
They lie about everything. There's no conversations with China right now. And what's most alarming right now is that if you look at freight volumes, if you look at trucking volumes right now, they are crashing to worse than COVID levels. We're about to have a summer of scarcity, maybe even before the summer. We're about to have massive issues of not having products on the shelves. Small businesses are about to go out of businesses. Medium to larger size businesses are about to default. We see where it's happening. You can literally see a map of the ports and see the port of Shanghai and ports in China filled with ships that are not leaving. And you can see empty ports here in California and elsewhere on the West Coast. We know what's happening. No one's talking about it really. And the Trump regime just lies. That's why I keep calling this a Ponzi scheme presidency, because they lie on top of lie on top of lie. Oh, how about foreign policy? Well, on Face the Nation, they had Sergei Lavrov, the foreign minister of Russia, on, and here's what he said about Crimea. So, yes, Donald, I'm sure you're making great breakthroughs, powerful breakthroughs in those discussions. Here, play this clip.
You said that there are talks with China every day. Who are the talks with and at what level? Because the Chinese are saying that's not true.
Well, according to our team in Washington, the conversations are ongoing regarding multiples of trade, but here multiples of the trade goods that are coming out and going in. But the bottom line with China is this: they need us more than we need them. They need our money. They need our markets. They need our consumers and all of the above. So the president has been, I believe, exactly correct. I mean, he is the ultimate deal maker. You know, it's a time where we've got to hold China accountable. And in agriculture, year upon year, decade upon decade, our goods have been taken advantage of. The trade disparity, the non-trade tariffs on top of the tariff numbers are insane, whether it's Argentina or China or Brazil or the UK. I could go.
There you have it, folks. What a awful morning for Donald Trump. What a nightmarish morning for Donald Trump. But frankly, it's all of us here in America, and frankly, in the peace-loving world, that has to pay for the fact, once again, and let me just call him out what he is, a felon, fraud, sexual abuser is leading this nation into the ground. We'll keep exposing it every day here on the MeidasTouch Network. Hit subscribe. Let's get to 5 million subscribers.
New Meidas merch drop. Check out the latest pro-democracy sticker packs, t-shirts, hats, sweatshirts, and more. All at store.meidastouch.com.